All right, good morning, Mr. Gates, and any happy viewer that might see this later. Just for the record, this is Lucy. I got asked about some tips about doing some applique, so bear with me. I like to ramble and I kind of go off the cuff, right? But I wanted to do like a little bit of like practical theory. And then my other plan was to kind of show you on the machine. Okay, so right now, waiting for my iron to heat up so that I can actually iron the pieces to the tunic, and then I'll show you kind of like how I like to set up and just kind of doing it. Okay. All right. So as you can imagine, like a straight line is super kind of simple. You're letting the machine do 99% of the work. You're just kind of watching it and making sure that the stitching is going where it's supposed to go, right? And obviously that's going to be where you want it. Okay. So yeah. All right. So just as a quick little thing first, right? Here's a straight line, and right, just remember that like the straight line's super simple. It's straight, and the machine should again just go very gently into a straight line. Most machines anyway, you're gonna do that zigzag stitch, also known as a satin stitch, right? And how you kind of set up is little details will add up over time to kind of your execution and like how well it holds and it lasting. But I wanted to show you this. Like everybody kind of knows this, but I want to take a moment to like talk about it and emphasize what's actually happening while you're doing the satin stitch. You're to start. I like to start on this edge of where this one piece is the base piece and this two piece is your piece of applique, right? If you orient it some other way, if you like it reversed where like the edge of what you're appliquing is, totally personal preference, right? I like it this way. It's just the way my brain works. And I like to set it up. And again, I'll show you this on the machine when I get started, where the right side of the down starts like right on where I want it to be. And then you're gonna hit go, right? Start slow, always start slow, especially something you've never done before. Brings me to a good point. Practice, do a sample piece here. Okay. Before setting up, right? Run a sample, right? I'm gonna get up close to you, right? Like start it at your base settings on your machine. Each machine is gonna be slightly different. How to change the settings and like advice on what settings to use. There's a mountain of YouTube videos that you can look up, but run a line nice and straight. This is just a piece of bias tape, right? And I can easily see behind it. I like to be able to see the base piece and where the stitching is going to be, because as you'll see, right, this is where I started. I ran along, I tightened it up a little bit, and then boom, I got to like this point, right, where it's a little bit more tight, but it's not on top of each other. I've personally found that if you are running the thread too close together, right, that the chances of it bunching up and knotting increase, right? You want it to move, right? And so like that's what you kind of see here. So like you'll see right there's like a little bit of space between a couple of them. That's okay, right? Because if your base piece and what you're appliquing is the same color as your thread, nobody will notice, right? And it'll blend right in. The only time I would say you like want to or need to worry about that is if they're two different colors and it's like going to show through and it's not going to be like as clean looking as sort of I guess you could say professional, right? Like a little bit more slapdash together. Okay. Anyway, so back to this, right? Always practice your stitch, right? Make sure you know, like, kind of like you get a feel for how, you know, the timing and like how fast you're going to be moving along, and little micro adjustments that you can make along the way. Okay, but I like to start with the needle down here. Use your knot button if you have one. If you don't, right, run it a couple of times so that it, you know, your first couple, those are some basic sewing basics. And remember that you're going to be going down and then across, down and then across, down, and that's how it goes, right? Boom, 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 all the way down. Okay. Notice here that there's going to be more on this side, which is why, like, this piece being red and the thread being red is a good call. You're not going to see much on this side. And the goal is to kind of have this overlap, right? Where that's how it gets stitched together. Okay. One piece of advice, take it or leave it. I think it highly depends on you and what you want. Some people run a simple stitch right here to hold it down while you're doing the applique, the satin stitch. Okay, I've done it before, right? It works great, right? You can do it. You want to do it, cool, right? In the case of what I will show you, I'm not doing that, right? I've just, my comfort level and what I've kind of gotten to, I don't, right? I don't think it's wrong. Again, it's a personal preference thing, but this is how it's going to move along, right? Boom, 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 boom. And then you're going to go all the way down, right? So I'm kind of talking about this to get to like corners and then curves, right? So tips on, you know, so you got set up, right? Running a straight line, pretty simple and straightforward, right? It'll feel really easy, but it's a good way to practice. Same sort of thing, right? You want to bear in mind what the machine is doing. One, boom, 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 boom. You know, it's gonna run all the way down. Now, what do you do about a corner, right? I started out and I just kind of went for it, right? And what ended up happening was I had some corners that like had an open space. Like this was not filled in, right? It like it's kind of hard to describe, but it looked like it was a bar, and then that bar broke, leaving that space, and then kept going. And I was just like, what is happening, right? So what you want to do on the corners is you're gonna, you know, here, right? What you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want the needle to stop and pivot on the outside corner, and then you're gonna turn the fabric, okay? And again, I'm gonna show you what I mean on the fabric, but you're gonna go here, boom, and like as close as you can, right, as best as you can. It will take a little bit of practice, just a couple of reps and sets, right? But get used to your machine and like being able to get it to kind of go up and down. If you have a button, great. If you don't, you can, you know, you should be able to do it with your foot. I can do it with mine using the foot, right? Using the pedal. Stop it here, right? And you want it on the outside because you're gonna turn it this way, right? Because you finished on a right and you're gonna start by going left. Does that make sense? So the same thing I was talking about like up here where I like to start on the outside, that's where you like need to start over here to fill in that little gap. This point right here is like that corner point, and you're gonna turn it, and then when it starts going and you start hitting the pedal, it's gonna go boom, 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 boom again, okay? What you don't want, right, is to do here, end here, and then when you switch it, it's gonna go, leaving that little gap. It's not very sharp, right? It looks kind of shitty. Okay, so remember that when you're going into curves are kind of a bitch. Again, you know, practice, right? Go slow. But you're gonna have to keep that in mind. To make a nice smooth curve, you're gonna have to feel it out. Again, practice makes better. right? More better. Start on the outside, boom, 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 right? It's gonna want to go in the straight line. You're gonna have to kind of stop it a little, and then boom, boom, boom. Okay, okay, I'm gonna stop it a little, boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. Stop it a little, boom, 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 boom. You see what I'm getting at, right? You're gonna have to kind of practice and feel out that natural place where you're gonna want to stop. But again, this is like, kind of not really, but like 90, consider it to be like a 90 degree to like the line you're trying to cover. Okay. If you have to stop and do it like a couple of threads, kind of adjust it a little bit, a couple of threads, like go slow, right? This is not, sewing is not a, let's just bang it out and, do a speed run, right? Like you're going to get not great results that way, right? Have a little bit of patience with yourself, right? Just kind of get used to where you want to be when you come. So you notice again, I stopped on the outside, kind of made an adjustment this way. Same thing applies on this side when you're curving this way, where you want to be on the outside, right, of where you're trying to turn. Right, that's just how it makes sense in my head. As you kind of go, if you stop here and take, and then you can go straight for a couple, right, and then you gotta do it again, right? You want to be on the outside to turn, right? Okay. So that's some ideas, right? Like I hope I'm communicating it right of like how it's gonna like mechanically break down for you. I'm gonna set up, and then I'm gonna like run it for real and show you.